Welcome back to Shane and Bane, Ruin the Classics, if you want to hear the long official name. And today we have a treat because my dear pal, Mr. Bane, is going to teach us the introductory lesson of Chicago, Chicago 101, as it were, right, my dear friend?
That is correct, sir. I was going to save this course for the fall semester, but our beloved Walter Parazaider, the key woodwind player for the band Chicago, passed away very recently. So I thought I would move this up to summer semester. And because it is summer and no one wants to be in class, I'll make this short and
Ah,
sweet and painless. I am doing a little cosplay here. Terry Kath, the guitarist for Chicago, was well known for wearing hockey jerseys during his live performances, and I happen to have a Chicago Blackhawks
you
uh,
do. Yeah, I've never seen you with
from,
that.
from my playing days.
Okay.
Not in the NHL. This was this was local stuff. So anyway, let's start with Chicago 101. And again, rest in peace, Walter Parazaider. And Walter was one of the founding members of Chicago, like the founding members. He was in a band with Danny Serafine, the drummer, and Terry Kath, the guitarist, prior to everybody else joining. And while he was at DePaul University, he met the rest of the brass section, Lee Loughnane, the trumpet player, and Jimmy Pankow, the trombonist. And they added a keyboard player, Robert Lamb, who they knew from the area. These guys were all from the Chicago area. And originally they were going to go without a bass player. They were going to have Robert play the bass pedal. You know all about that instrument, Shane, from your
Yes.
Rush stuff.
Yes.
And but they decided they weren't getting enough oomph out of the bass pedal, so they added, very fortuitously, Peter Cetera, a bass player and one of the great tenor voices of all time. And they formed a band called The Big Thing at the time. And they found a manager, James William Garcio, and he moved him out to LA to start perfecting their craft. And there's a great story about they were playing at the Whiskey A Go Go,
Oh, yes.
and in walked a certain guy named Jimi Hendrix, and he was stunned, and he said, "quote," he said, "Wow, that horn section shares one lung, and that guitarist is better than me." And he says, "I want to take you guys on the road with me." So he did. There for a while, Chicago. They became Chicago Transit Authority. They had to lose that name for legal reasons because there's an actual Chicago Transit Authority, the L trains and whatnot and buses in Chicago. So they actually did tour, open up for Jimi Hendrix there for a while. They were slated to play Woodstock, and their manager had scheduled some other stuff for them to do. And guess who took their place at Woodstock, Shane?
I'm guessing. I'm just gonna say Santana. I don't know.
You nailed it, Santana. And look what, we can only
That-
imagine what Chicago playing at Woodstock would have done for their careers. But anyway,
wow, I did not know that. That was a good
yeah,
guess.
good guess, man. That was good. So anyway, they put out their first album, a double album, the Chicago Transit Authority, man. And I come bearing props, and you'll probably do a little.
Oh yeah, we got it. Well, you'll see it both ways.
Whoops, it's upside down. The Chicago Transit Authority was their very first album, and double album that did very well and put them on the map. Walter's dream of a rock band with a horn section came to fruition. It was very well received, and they did quite well. They followed that up with Chicago 2. It was just called Chicago initially, but then they released it. Started doing the Roman numeral thing, Chicago 2. Now, a little side story. Color My World is on that one. Now, when I was in high school, Jane, there was not a high school dance you could, the band guy, he'd go, "Okay, we're going to slow it on down with this one. Guys, grab your gals, and we're going to play a little Chicago here." And it was, Color My World was at every, so I'm growing up with Chicago, and everybody knows I'm a big Toto fan. But before there was Toto, There was Chicago for me. I was smitten right off the band. They were my very favorite band and a big part of the soundtrack of my life. And like I said, even though Chicago 2 came out in 1970, I mean, it's all through the late 70s, they're playing high school dances. The song Color My World,
Oh,
right?
was it ever?
Yeah, Chicago 3 came out in 1971. They followed that one up with a box set live at Carnegie Hall. So you notice a trend here. These are all double albums in a world where single albums are kind of the thing. And finally, in 1972, that one there, Chicago 5 came out. And that was their first single LP. Everything else had been double
Oh,
LP
wow.
set.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was actually the first album I bought. My brother harassed me relentlessly. I was buying 45s. I think I had like, does anybody know what time it is? And beginnings on a 45. And my brother's like, step up, man. It's time to be, it's
That's a
time to
lot of
be,
scratch for a young guy, though.
it's time to become a man. And so I went to Raspberry Records in town
Oh, yes.
and bought Chicago 5, and that one came out. And they were basically cranking out an album every year. Chicago 6, the great one. And you had a video, Shane, of iconic logos. Is
Yes.
there more iconic logo out there than Chicago? And
Yeah,
their
it's a
albums
top five at least.
were so unique. There was a flag, there was a metal sketch. This one was money, and it even had the texture to go with that too. Chicago 7, they returned to a double album with this one. This is like a leather
Yeah.
engraving, and it's got the texture too. So these albums were just really cool. Now, they did add a percussionist, Lauder de Oliveira, for the Chicago 7 album, and he was with them for many years after that. So that kind of completes the first iteration of Chicago. And boy, while doing some due diligence for this video, I found out that Lauder de Oliveira, he's a Brazilian, he died on stage, had a heart attack in 2017.
Really?
I guess that's a way to go, right? Doing what you
Well,
love,
yeah.
right? So anyway, in 1975, Chicago 8 came out. Now, this one came with an iron-on like patch, right, of this logo. And I
Okay.
remember my mom carefully ironed on the thing to a cool T-shirt. It was one of those little baseball shirts that had different sleeves, and I proudly sported that one around in 1975.
Early merch.
Oh, merch! I know that was cool, and they did release some cool posters and everything like that. Chicago 9 was actually a greatest hits LP that came out, and now Chicago, that was this one.
Oh, yes, that's the classic one that everybody would recognize that cover.
Chicago 10 came out in 1976, and okay, this was kind of an ominous sign. Their very first number one song was on this album.
What is it?
It's not a very un-Chicago-like song. If you leave me now.
Oh, yes.
And this kind of foreshadowed that they would have some great success with ballads and very, diminished horns type songs. And that was their first number one song.
And may I say something? I was probably 8 years old about this time. I remember when this song was came out, and I remember listening to Casey Kasem's top whatever 40, like we always did every Sunday morning whenever it came out. And I remember hearing this song non-stop play that year.
Yeah.
And then it got me really like, oh yeah, I like these guys. I mean, I've heard their other stuff, but no, it was that song that made me start going, oh yeah, I like this.
Hey, you were digging it, but some Chicago purists were like, whoa, are they selling out?
Uh-oh. Yeah.
What a cool album cover. It's a chocolate bar with the wrapper. I mean, you,
I didn't even realize that, Bruce.
you want to eat this. I mean, their albums were just
What an
so
idiot I am.
cool. And then Chicago 11 came out in 1972, and I believe this.
1972 or 19, is that right?
Yep. Oh, sorry. No, 1977. Can't read
77.
my
Yes,
mind.
that's
And
correct.
I believe this had on a Baby, What a Big Surprise, another soft hit. But
Yeah.
so this was in 1977. Things changed in 1978.
Okay.
First thing, they got rid of their manager, James William Garcio. So they did a lot of recording at the Caribou Ranch in Colorado, and he up and bought Caribou Ranch. And this was a sign for them. They're like, this guy's making way too much money off
Yeah. He's
off of
buying a
us
ranch.
to be able to buy this studio and this ranch. So they dumped him as a producer. And sadly, later in 1978, Terry Kath died.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, his death was, boy, guns and alcohol do not mix. Hanging out with the guys, he had a gun. He was a big gun enthusiast, and he was probably a little under the influence, and was playing kind of this game of fake Russian roulette, but there was still one in the chamber.
Oh boy.
Sadly, that was the demise of Terry Kath. Now, the band didn't know what to do. They didn't know if they were going to carry on. And it was interesting. At Terry Kath's funeral, Doc Severinsen from The Tonight Show, was at the funeral, went up to the band and said, "You guys got to keep going." That's what Terry would have wanted. And that actually jolted them. So Doc Severinsen
Oh wow.
has an impact here. So they put out the album Hot Streets. They auditioned a bunch of guitarists. This is the first album that didn't have, that had a title, right? And didn't
I was
really,
gonna say, Bruce, how come I don't know this?
yeah, and this had the hit Alive Again,
Okay, yes.
which is kind of a double entendre, right?
Yeah.
The band is alive again, but that was a big hit off this album. They got a guy named Donnie Dacus as the guitarist for that album. How do you
You
follow
can't
up?
replace Kath though, man. Come
How do
on.
you follow up a Terry Kath? So in 1979, they followed that one up with Chicago 13. Very cool, high rise, right?
Yeah.
They went back to the Roman numeral things, and Donnie Dacus played on this album as well. They kind of went disco on this one. There is a song on here called Street Player that is their attempt at disco, and not bad.
Not bad for disco or not bad song in general.
In terms of disco. So anyway, things kind of start going downhill for Chicago about this time. They put out Chicago 14 in 1979, and it didn't do well at all. And there was a lot of bickering within the band. There was a lot of drug use going on, unhappy people. Columbia dropped them
Oh.
from their label, but Columbia did release Chicago 15. It was another greatest hits album. And they were down and out. And this begins the David Foster era.
Oh
Right?
boy. Yes.
So
We know this era.
David Foster was brought in to produce these guys. He also brought in a guy named Bill Champlin, Sons of Champlin. He had his own prolific career. And I'm going to say he was as much the secret sauce as Foster was. But for the first time, they brought outside composers. Chicago 16 is full of my boys from Toto. They're all over this album. So they brought in extra players, a bunch of different guitarists on this album. And their big comeback was Hard to Say I'm Sorry, Love Me Tomorrow. This album did really well. They started doing a lot more ballads,
Oh yeah.
a mellower tone, but it was working. So in they followed this up, Chicago 17, a year later. Chicago 17 was their biggest commercial success. You're the Inspiration, Hard Habits Break on here. Those duets with Cetera and Bill Champlin are phenomenal. But this is a great album. Again, Foster's imprint is all over this. Studio musicians are all over this. The horn section's getting a little bit diminished and bent. And it was about this time where Cetera wanted to do a Phil Collins kind of thing. He was looking over there at Genesis and says, like, yeah, Phil Collins goes off and does his solo albums, but then comes back and puts out Genesis albums. Why can't I do that? Because in the Foster era, Cetera emerged as a force, and he wanted to explore his own solo endeavors, but wanted to have his cake and eat it too, according to the band. They didn't like that idea, so they booted Cetera.
So they booted him.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
under the impression he left for a solo career.
Okay.
Because I mean, the
A
Foster
little
era,
bit.
I mean, it was about Cetera. They
Jay,
were doing these power ballads.
It's a little bit of both. They would not agree to his terms of
Ah,
having a solo thing. So
okay.
if that's what you call booting, It's yeah, they parted ways.
They parted ways.
Yeah, and they brought in Jason Sheff as the lead vocalist. Now, Jason was the bass player. Cool thing about him, his dad was a bass player for a certain guy named Elvis Presley. So
Oh,
Jason grew up with music going on, and his dad on tour with Elvis. So Chicago 18 was the album that came out with Jason Sheff fronting them, and Will You Still Love Me, and some other ones. They did a kind of a remake of 25 or 64, amped up modern version that was kind of a hit as well. But Jason did well. This was about the time I saw them in concert. It was They were supposed to be up at a ski resort, Park West at the time.
oh yes, Park West.
Inclement weather hit, and they rerouted the concert to Symphony Hall downtown. And I saw them in concert, and Chef singing his stuff phenomenal, and Robert Lamb was still singing his things too, and Bill Champlin as well. But at the time when Jason Chef was singing Cetera songs, it almost sounded like kind of a high school cover band. That was my only complaint about that concert, is just Peter Cetera raised the bar so well. But Jason eventually, settled in. Chicago 19
and 21
were part of that same formula, and they did very well commercially. So Chicago's doing pretty good. They tried to get back to their roots in in the 1990s. They fired Danny Serafine.
Oh, they did.
They said he wasn't adapting to click tracks and things like that, and at the time, so they actually booted him. No gray area on that definition there. They kicked Danny Serafine out. And in 1993, they did an album called Stone of Sisyphus. It was like old school Chicago, back to their roots, but the label hated it. Bootleg copies were all over the place. That's when I first heard it. Somebody burned me, one of our buddies from work back in the day burned me that CD, but they finally released it in 2008. Stone of Sisyphus. It's a very Chicago sounding album. They did a big band album in 1995, Night and Day, which is actually pretty good. They had some Christmas albums. In 2006, they did Chicago 30. I think that was their last.
30?
Yeah. So
holy cow.
But mostly they became a touring band. And little by little, they started shedding some of these original members. Of course, Bill Champlin left after a while. Cetera was no longer there. And boy, as it stands now, here we are in 2026. Walt Parazaider had retired from the band because of his dementia, and James Pankow had left the band. Lamb had officially retired. As of 2026, they've got this tour coming up with Styx this summer. And the only original member of Chicago that was on the print material for this thing was Lee Loughnane, the trumpet player. But somebody might correct me if I'm mistaken in the comments, but I don't believe he tours every night with them.
Okay.
So
they're basically now just a cover band.
They really are. You read the comments of some of their concerts, and people say, boy, I better not be paying Chicago prices for this Chicago cover band.
Fair enough. I agree.
Here's the kicker. There's a Russian band, more of a project, kind of like the Alan Parsons project. It's Leonid and Friends. It was.
Oh, yes.
Leonid's a bass player, and they put a bunch of Russians, and they had a Ukrainian singer there for a while. And they started putting out videos on YouTube honoring Chicago. Incredible, gifted musicians. I saw them in concert, and they're coming back in town in October. I'm tempted to go see them again, but wow, they do Earth, Wind, and Fire and some of the Blood, Sweat, and Tears, things like that as well. But I'd almost dare say, if you really want to see a very genuine Chicago experience, go see Leonid.
Leonid, okay. Not see the actual touring band.
Yeah, I don't think I would. I think I'd rather go see Leonid and Friends at this point. But
that's awesome.
Chicago was near and dear to me. I loved them growing up. And yeah, you saw by the stack of
yeah,
I got.
You've given them a few dollars over your life.
Yeah, and I actually loved Chicago growing up. They were just a big part of my soundtrack, and I thought we would go ahead in this summer semester that no one wants to be attending. Thought we would do Chicago 101 and honor the late great Walter Parazaider.
All right. Well done, Mr. Bang. I mean, I learned a lot. And here's the thing. I just have a couple of questions if you're taking
Yes,
questions at the end of the
yeah,
period here.
always, always.
Well, actually, a couple questions and a comment. Why did they just decide to do numerically? Was it just their thing? Because I mean, just to name each band, or except for one or two, I guess it's just was it just easier? Like, yeah, Chicago 10, that just came their trademark. Because that's how I remember it a lot.
Yeah,
It's
it
like a
became their
trademark.
thing. Like I said, Hot Streets is the only one that didn't get a Roman numeral. So I think it was a cool thing, and a brand. And you know what I failed to mention that I probably should right now? Back in the early days, they did not shy away from political songs.
Oh yeah,
There was a cool one about the Democratic National Convention called Prologue and Someday, August 29th, 1968. That was about the violence at the Democratic National Convention. And the song Dialogue on Chicago 5 is a great commentary of that time. So you look at back at some of their early stuff, they got quite political and
hmm
revolutionary, and they were not happy with the way things were going in the country, and they said so. So I forgot to
yeah.
mention.
That's a good point. I mean, if people ask me what I deem this, they probably have multiple eras of Chicago, right? Because they've
Yes.
been around for so damn long.
Yeah.
My era is the Chicago Transit Authority to probably the death of Terry Kath. That's my favorite era.
Yeah.
For me
Most.
personally, the songs, I like, Terry Cass singing. I like Robert Lamb singing. I like Risa Tara singing all this. 80s was obviously so commercially huge for this band. I mean, they owned so much of the AC radio. I mean, let's be honest. I wouldn't call it a sellout, but they definitely were hugely successful bringing in outside writers. And I don't recall Mr. Bang Robert Lamb singing many hits in the 80s, even though he was in the band. Did he get sidelined with more of a
his
Champlin,
role his role was diminished. That's where
Okay.
Foster was very fond of Peter Cetera for all the right reasons, of course. But yeah, that was part of it.
I know. It kind of because I was like, oh, this guy's because he to me growing up too, some of his early stuff in my brain, I heard like this crooner guy singing this band, and it was just like, oh well, but
And that was the cool thing about Chicago. Various lead singers got a crack at
yeah,
it. Taft did a lot of the early stuff.
yeah,
That's him on Color My World, and
exactly.
so yeah, that was a cool thing about him. But yeah, you're right. Lamb's role was diminished, um, and Foster definitely had his favorites.
Yes, he did. Well, everybody, there you go. Mr. Bain has presented a Chicago 101. You can strike that off on your your syllabus.
Yep, it's a summer semester. Class is over. Get back to fun. You didn't want to be here anyway, so go hit the lake. Go hit the reservoir. Come
Yes,
on.
everyone. So thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one when
We
school's
will.
back in session.
Sounds good.